Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're looking at the Spanish film Culpa Mia. Well, actually, it started as a story on Wattpad and then got so popular that it got turned into a movie and even a whole trilogy of books. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Right.
So let's start by figuring out what this story is all about. What makes it tick and how it managed to go from just an online story to this huge hit.
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the most interesting things about Culpa Mia is that it actually started on Wattpad,
Mm.
and it got over 50 million reads before it was even a published book.
50 million. Wow, that's crazy.
It is. It
Oh,
just shows you the power of these online platforms. Like, you can share your stories and connect with readers from all over the world.
yeah, for real. Like, I can definitely see how Wattpad can be like this breeding ground for these, huge fandoms. But for those of us who don't know much about it, could you explain like what makes Wattpad so special?
Well, it's kind of like it totally changes the whole publishing game. It's like this big online space where readers and writers can interact directly. Like, you can get feedback instantly and stories could just blow up organically.
So you're saying that Culpa Mia is basically a child of the internet. Like it was born in this digital age and wouldn't have been possible without these online platforms.
Totally. It shows you how powerful these platforms can be. I mean, look at Culpa Mia. It's a global phenomenon now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty inspiring when you think about it. Which brings me to the author Mercedes Ron. I bet her story is just as interesting as her book.
You know what? It actually is. Mercedes was just a normal person. She decided to share her story online, and boom,
Yeah.
the response was massive. Millions of people read Culpa Mia, and it became one of the most popular stories on Wattpad.
Wow. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. So what happened next?
Well, all this attention from online readers got the attention of publishers. And next thing you know, Mercedes has a 3-book deal. It's like a real-life Cinderella story.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's amazing. She just took a chance and ended up hitting the jackpot.
I know, right? But wait, there's more.
Of course. The story doesn't end there. Culpa Mia became a movie, right?
You got it. And Mercedes was actually involved in the whole process. Can you imagine? You go from posting chapters online to being on a film set. It's crazy.
That is so cool. It really shows you the power of, fan engagement and how fans can actually shape creative projects.
Okay, so we've got this unique story about how this book came to be, but what about the director, Domingo Gonzalez? What made him the perfect fit for this project?
Well, he was a fan of the books himself. And get this, he's a total romance genre enthusiast. Like, he really understands the heart of the story.
Ah, so he gets it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And he was really passionate about the adaptation. He wanted to make sure it captured the essence of Mercedes's vision. I think they even worked together closely throughout the whole process. Oh, wow, that's awesome. It definitely sounds like he was invested in making this film a hit with the fans.
Mhm.
So we've got this amazing origin story, a director who's passionate about the project, and of course, a massive fan base. But let's talk about the story itself. What's the driving force behind Culpa Mia? What's it all about?
At its core, Culpa Mia is all about forbidden love, family pressure, and navigating personal choices when society expects something different from you.
So that classic struggle between what we want and what we're supposed to do.
Exactly. It's a theme that's been around forever, but Culpa Mia definitely puts a unique spin on it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what makes Culpa Mia's take on this so unique?
Well, for starters, the film is visually stunning. You've got these scenes with fast cars, underground fight clubs, and a glimpse into the luxurious lives of Spain's elite.
So like a mix of beauty and danger.
Yeah, exactly. It's a world of privilege, but it's also full of secrets and unspoken rules, and it's all very glamorous, very stylish.
Yeah. I can already see why people are drawn to it. The visuals alone sound captivating. But I have a feeling Culpa Mia goes deeper than just surface level glitz and glamour.
You're absolutely right. It's not just about the fancy cars and the parties. There are some serious themes at play here. The film really digs into the complexities of modern Spanish society, especially the clash between traditional values and the younger generation's desire for individual freedom.
That's interesting. So it's not just a love story, it's also a commentary on the social dynamics of Spain.
Exactly. It's about those moments when your heart pulls you in one direction, but society expects you to go in another.
I can see how that would create some serious tension, especially in a love story. So tell me, what's the central relationship in Culpa Mia like? What makes it so captivating?
Well, the story revolves around Noah and Nick. Their connection is intense right from the start, but their backgrounds are completely different.
Oh, opposites attract situation.
You could say that Noah is rebellious and fiercely independent,
Yeah.
while Nick is caught in this world of wealth and tradition.
Sounds like their love story is a recipe for disaster, but also super exciting. So
Yeah.
who are these characters, Noah and Nick? What are they all about?
Noah's like this force of nature,
Yeah.
you know? She's impulsive, idealistic, and she's determined to find her own voice, especially with all this romantic turmoil going on.
It's like she shakes up Nick's perfectly structured life.
Exactly. And Nick, well, he's got all this family pressure and societal expectations weighing him down. He's supposed to follow in his father's footsteps, uphold the family name, all that.
So he's trapped, and then Noah comes along and represents everything he can't have.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, they have this electric connection. But it throws his whole world into chaos.
A classic recipe for a good love story.
Right. And the author, Maria Toni Mancuso, she does a brilliant job of capturing this whole internal struggle. Like, she uses these really vivid internal monologues. You really get inside the characters' heads.
That's cool, so you feel what they're feeling.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You feel Noah's frustration with all the limitations she's facing, and Nick's desperation to break free from this gilded cage.
So their relationship isn't just about attraction, it's deeper than that.
Way deeper. It's like a clash of personalities. Two souls yearning for something more.
So their love story becomes a symbol of rebellion against tradition.
You got it. And the director, Domingo Gonzalez, he understood this perfectly. He uses all these visual cues like the luxurious homes, the high-stakes poker games, the fancy cars, to represent Nick's world. This suffocating world.
And then you have Noah, who's like this burst of energy and rebellion.
Right. It's like she's this splash of color in a world that's become way too serious and monochrome.
I love that. So their love story is this bright thread running through a tapestry of tradition. It's disrupting everything.
Exactly. And it makes total sense that this story resonated so strongly with readers on Wattpad, especially since it's a platform with so many young voices.
Right, because it speaks to them directly.
Yeah. It reflects the anxieties and aspirations of a generation that's like, hey, we're not going to be confined by tradition anymore. They want the freedom to define their own lives and their own loves,
And they see themselves in Noah and Nick.
Totally. It's fascinating how a story that started on a digital platform, written by someone who'd never been published before, could tap into something so universal.
Right, like it's mind-blowing.
And that's the power of Mercedes Ron's writing. She captured these raw emotions, these universal longings, and turned them into a story that resonated with millions of people all over the world.
It's incredible. And I love that she wasn't just like a bystander in the film adaptation.
Oh, no, she was very much involved. From casting to script revisions, she was there.
That's amazing. You don't see that very often, an author having that much influence on a film adaptation.
It's a testament to how strong her vision was and how connected she was to her fans. She wanted to make sure the film stayed true to her story, to what made Culpa Mia so special. And I think she succeeded.
I think so too. So let's talk more about how Culpa Mia portrays modern Spanish society. It's not just a backdrop, is it?
Not at all. It actually shapes the characters and their choices. Culpa Mia gives you a glimpse into contemporary Spain, a country that's dealing with this tension between tradition and modernity,
Yeah, I can see that. So Noah's rebellion isn't just personal, it's a reflection of something bigger.
Exactly. Think about Noah. She's strong-willed, independent, driven by her passions. She represents a whole generation of young Spanish women who are challenging traditional gender roles. They're like, we're going to define our own paths. Thank you very much.
So the film is kind of holding up a mirror to Spanish society.
That's a great way to put it. It's making people question these deeply ingrained norms.
Yeah.
And you know what? It doesn't stop there.
What else?
The film also shows the friction that happens when these desires clash with traditional expectations. Take Noah's relationship with her mother, for example.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a clash of values.
Totally. The mom represents these traditional values, the belief that women should put security and stability above all else. Their conflict shows this generational divide, this pressure on young women to fit into these predefined roles.
And that makes Noah's relationship with Nick even more rebellious.
You got it. It's not just about love. It's about Noah choosing a partner who represents a break from all those expectations. It's about defying the norms and making her own path.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement.
It is. And you know what's interesting? Nick, despite his family's wealth and status, he's drawn to Noah's free spirit.
Opposites attract again.
Yeah. But their connection also challenges this whole social hierarchy. The idea that women should go for partners who can offer financial security and social standing. Their love is a rebellion. It's a declaration that you can find happiness outside of what tradition dictates.
I love how Culpa Mia goes beyond those typical teen romance tropes.
Me too. It's not just about the romance. It's about societal expectations, gender roles, and having the courage to defy convention. It's pretty deep.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it makes sense that this story resonated with so many people worldwide.
It speaks to that feeling of being pressured to conform, to fit into a mold that doesn't feel right.
We've all been there.
Exactly. And culpa mia reminds us that true happiness comes from embracing who you are and going after your passions, no matter what society says.
Just a powerful message for sure. And you know what else is cool? That this whole story started with a regular person sharing their story online.
I know. It's a testament to the power of storytelling, how it can transcend borders and cultures.
Culpa Mia reminds us that we all share these basic human desires. Love, acceptance, freedom to be ourselves.
Beautifully said. Before we wrap up, I'm curious, what do you think about the ending of the film? Like, how does culpa mia resolve all these complex issues and desires?
That's a good question. And I have a feeling it's not going to be a simple answer.
You're right about that culpa mia doesn't try to give you all the answers or tie everything up neatly. It's more about leaving you with a sense of hope, but also recognizing that the journey to self-discovery and true love is rarely straightforward.
So it's like life messy and unpredictable.
Exactly. Culpa mia embraces that complexity. It acknowledges that there are no easy solutions, only choices and consequences.
So instead of giving us a resolution, the film makes us think about the questions it raises.
Right, and those questions, they linger long after the film is over.
Which is a good thing.
Definitely. Keeps the conversation going.
You mentioned that the film doesn't give us, clear-cut answers or anything. It kind of leaves us with more questions, which
The-
I actually like. It keeps you thinking.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's part of what makes culpa mia so engaging.
Yeah.
It doesn't try to simplify things. It just presents these complex situations and lets you grapple with them.
Right. So instead of like a nice, neat ending, we get questions to ponder. What kind of questions does the film leave us with?
Well, one of the big ones is this idea of balancing love and responsibility. Like, how much should we be willing to sacrifice for love? And when does our pursuit of happiness start to affect other people negatively?
It's interesting how the film tackles these really universal questions within the specific context of, modern Spanish society.
Yeah, it's cool how those things are all woven together. Like, the characters' personal struggles are connected to these bigger societal issues.
Totally.
Hmm.
And the film doesn't shy away from showing how defying social norms has consequences.
Right, like we see how Noah and Nick's choices don't just affect them, they impact the people around them too.
It's a reminder that our actions have ripple effects, even when we have good intentions.
Exactly. Things can get messy, and culpa mia doesn't pretend otherwise.
So it's not about finding easy answers or solutions.
Nope, it's about
Yeah.
recognizing the complexity of it all, the relationships, the choices, the consequences, and it makes you think about all of that long after the movie ends.
Culpa Mia really challenges us to think about our own values, too, doesn't it?
For sure. Like, what are we willing to sacrifice for? What are the expectations we're facing? And how much courage does it take to really be ourselves?
So it's a love story, but it's also about so much more than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about finding yourself, challenging conventions,
Right.
and having the guts to live a life that's true to who you are, even if it means going against the grain.
And the cool thing is, it does all of that in a way that's really captivating and relatable.
Right. The characters are flawed, the relationships are messy, and the choices they have to make are tough. But that's what makes it feel so real.
It reminds us that life is messy. Love is complicated, and there are no easy answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even with all that chaos and uncertainty, there's beauty in the journey,
Mm.
in the struggles,
Yeah.
and in the courage to create our own paths.
Well said. I think this has been a really insightful deep dive. I feel like I have a much better understanding of what makes Culpa Mia so special now.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's a story that deserves all the praise and attention it's gotten, and I hope our conversation encourages people to check it out if they haven't already.
Definitely. And if you're looking for more deep dives like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more captivating stories, thought-provoking topics, and hidden gems from all over the world. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.